In any case, today what we're going to do is I'm actually going to go through and do a 1 year update of all the items I have been using for about a year that I reviewed on my channel. And this really is to just kind of update the folks that are using those products or are interested in buying them just to see how they held up. Some of them actually held up pretty good. And there was at least one that didn't fare so well. So without further ado, what we're going to do is go to the page and I'll start a screen recording here, which I meant to do before I started this video. So bear with me. Okay, so starting with my website, the first thing I'm going to look at is going to be, let's see, we'll start at the bottom. These are all my videos going back about a year. So we'll start with I'll tell you what, the first thing we're going to start with is Cyberlink, because I never really did a review on the software, but I have been using it for about a year. And overall, I've been pretty happy with it. One thing I will say, starting this year, really the end of last year, I got a pretty decent deal on Premiere and really just the Creative Cloud content in general. So all of it, due to the fact that I get it's a teacher/student discount. And then there was a Black Friday thing that went along with it. So I decided to actually switch my software to using that particular video editor. So I'm going to be trying that out this upcoming year, and as well as Lightroom, etc. But I don't really have a whole lot of complaints about Cyberlink. One of the things one of the reasons why I went to PowerDirector was because it wasn't a subscription service at the time. You just bought the software and you were good. Now they actually offer both, I believe, but I definitely wanted to try something different. I will say I am very happy with PowerDirector if I decided to stick with it. So rendering was great with it. I really didn't see very many downsides, and it ran on both my X1 Extreme as well as my T430. Speaking of Cyberlink, I'm actually using their screen recorder to help make this. I'll probably keep using that until I get comfortable using Premiere stuff. So moving right along, the next thing I'll talk about is the wide angle adapter, which I have right here. So this particular item, I only used it a little bit because initially I switched to my Sigma lens, which was for my 1 year, one camera challenge. So therefore that wide angle adapter wasn't compatible. But the lens I was using it primarily on was the Lumix 25mm 1.7. And frankly, I thought it was perfect because it gave me a wider frame. I don't think there was enough vignetting to be a distraction, at least for YouTube videos. So pretty happy about that product. Let's see. Oh, I ended up skipping my super cheap PowerDewise Lavalier mic. The only downside, and not even really the only downside, the only reason why I stopped using this was because I purchased this guy, the Rode Video Micro, and or wireless rather. But for the price at the time, $15 for a lavalier mic, I think it worked fine. I mean, you could go back and listen to the videos that I actually used it in, and really, I would say going forward. So, starting from that video where I reviewed it, there were a few videos where I actually used the Rode Micro, which I have around here somewhere. But yeah, I used this thing a lot, and it was perfect, especially considering the price. So moving right along. There was my Smallrig cage for the G85. No complaints. Matter of fact, love Smallrig so much, I ended up buying another one for this camera, which is the A7 III. Sturdy, robust. It gives you a lot of options since you can do a lot of different attachments. And yeah, really, there was absolutely nothing wrong. This product to me is just as great as it was the first day I purchased it. Let's see. I'm trying to keep all my camera stuff organized so when I take it off the top shelf, I put it back where it belongs. So the next one would be, we already talked about the wide angle adapter. So I will briefly mention the Canon M3 because I sold that camera when I started doing my experiment. But I will say the time that I had it, I liked that camera. I love the body. I liked the idea that I could take something so small and portable and just go out and do street photography and it's unobtrusive. But then you can also do video. And then when I added the Technicolor, it just made it an even more fantastic camera. So much so when I started looking at maybe getting a little small point and shoot for a friend because she wanted actually recommendations on cameras for her and her husband to take overseas. I actually found myself steering back towards the newer M series, or Canon, I should say, not the M50, but the other one that actually has the very similar body as the M3. And I think it's actually called the M200 now. But yeah, great camera. I got it used, but I never had any issues. Love the pancake lens that I got with it, which was the f2 22 millimeter. And size-wise, you couldn't beat it. Took it overseas, and it performed perfectly, if you ask me. So let's see, what else do we have here? The docks. So the Ultra and Mini dock for both the T430 and the X250. They're actually over there right now because I just keep them static in one location. And generally what I'm using them for is when I need to charge those laptops, I just pop them on. They do their job, and when I don't need them, I actually just take them off, and I'm good to go. The one thing that I'm actually probably doing is a little bit extra is on the X250. There's a port that's always on. So what I actually use that one for is to like charge all my peripherals. So like this mic, for instance, I have a couple of different USB hubs or a USB hub attached to it. I charge up camera batteries, my TTL battery, etc. But those docks are awesome. One of them I got used. The other one I believe I bought a new. You can actually check the review. But haven't had any issues whatsoever. Okay, so here we go. The next item I want to talk about is the super cheap pan head that I purchased. It was by GkGk, and it is the G06. And I'll tell you, for the price, I can't complain as much. This thing was like 20 something bucks. But what kind of bugs me is I really did not use it a whole heck of a lot. And in my opinion, it just didn't really perform well after a while. Now, it may have been because of the viscosity of the fluid that's inside. Because I didn't use it as much, it began to change. And now let me see, the panning, it's just not smooth. There's a lot of hesitation. Frankly, I spent 20 something bucks for it. So once again, I can't complain about it. Still use the plate. And then I was leaving it on my other tripod, cheaper tripod, and then just mounting my camera when I was doing the in-house stuff. But for the most part, I don't really see using it that much anymore. And then plus, I actually have a new tripod set up. It's a video tripod. It came with a fluid head that I'm going to be testing out. And that one I'm actually going to put up a review on. But this one right here, I got my use out of it. Would I recommend it? No, probably not. Matter of fact, I would not. And then I would also say it's starting to like weep a tad also. So some of the fluid is actually coming out. But I remember when I bought this thing, that was something I actually read in one of the reviews. I got a little out of it before, like maybe 6 or 7 months out of it. No, probably longer before it actually started to have that weeping problem. Once again, the weeping problem could probably be the issue why it's not as smooth either. So let's see. We already talked about the G85. So what I will talk about is my Sigma, because my Sigma, I've had it about a year. And, you know, of course, that coincides with me starting the experiment. But this was the Sigma 16 millimeter 1.4 micro four thirds lens. It's an APS-C size, well, APS-C body actually. So this lens is fairly gigantic compared to the 25 mil Lumix 1.7. Granted, this one is a faster lens, right? It's weather sealed, and I used it for an entire year for everything. And frankly, I believe that it was the perfect lens. Like, you notice it's still actually on the camera because this is the lens when I grab this body that I still use. I think this is the best lens that I have for micro four thirds. Can't speak highly enough about it. So much so that I actually bought another Sigma for the camera that I'm shooting on right now, which is the A7 III. But more on that later. So let's see, what else do we have here? The next thing would be the Haida, however you say it. Not wide angle, my goodness. Veritable ND filter. Okay, so the main reason why I picked this up was number one, I needed something that was going to actually fit the threads on this particular lens. Number two, this is 16 millimeter, but the other part of that was it had this little handle on it. I love this little handle. The only real issue with this filter is the same one that you get with any variable ND. And that's if you go too far past max and min, wherever the stops are, then you'll get that expanding. And because there is no hard stop in this, then you still get the expanding. So it would have been nice if maybe there was a hard stop built into it so you can just only turn it so far either way. But yeah, that's every filter I've had up until recently, because what I'm filming on, I actually have a filter that has hard stops. It's by Canon Concepts, and I've been really, really happy with it so far. So once again, using it right now. But what it doesn't have is this little handle. I didn't know how much I was going to love this thing, but when I put it on that Micro Four Thirds camera, and then when I need to adjust something, just being able to do that, it just comes so natural. Like to me, it seems like every filter should have something like this on its attached to it. And I'm probably considering tapping into this filter and adding a little handle of sorts just to get back this functionality, because I really, really enjoy this. But overall, this right here was a great purchase. Like I said, the expanding thing, that's common. So, but build quality is perfect. I generally kept this on the camera all the time. It was actually, if the lens was on the camera, then this was on the lens. So, the next thing would be the Mountdog 1350 watt lighting kit. So I'm actually using that right now. So I've got only two up. One, of course, is about 45 degrees from me, from the camera is what I should say. The other one is 90 degrees, and it's actually down lower. So these are the only two lights I'm using right now. The room that I'm in, I pretty much have all of the light blocked off. I don't have any other light source, even for just accents in general. It's daytime right now in Colorado and the sun's out. So it's kind of hard to get this room as dark as I would like, but it's still pretty dark. But these lights do a great job. Really, for the price, I don't think you can beat them. Now, keep in mind, when I bought mine, it came with 3 lights. One of them was damaged. They actually sent me another light. They could have just sent me the little plastic part. So technically, I got like 4 lights with this thing. I'd never, ever use 4 lights. 2 is more than enough. The only thing I would probably add is I would like to be able to have some sort of variable adjustment for the intensity of the light, but I don't necessarily need that because I know how to position my lights. I can move them, and they also come with softbox covers, which help. But great kit, and I would highly recommend it, especially considering how much I paid for it. So let's see. Next thing would be, well, you know what? I'm going to save that because I'm not right at it a year. I think that actually does it. So if you have any questions or comments about any of the stuff that I discussed today, feel free to leave them down below, and I will answer those as soon as I can. The other thing I will say is I finally hit 200 subscribers. I believe it was the end of last month. So, hey, thanks for that. My plan going forward is to continue to do the same type of content, sticking primarily with, the videography and the camera stuff, good deals, those types of things. Probably going to incorporate more techniques, that type of stuff, because I have been getting questions about lighting in general, as well as, movement. So when I'm actually filming something handheld, I probably need to put up more examples and then how I do those things. And then Lenovo stuff. So that's probably about it. Once again, thanks for watching. Click like, subscribe, and then, of course, if you got any questions or concerns, leave them below. And that's it. Agent Fit signing out.